So let's talk about this Heat game. As I look at the Heat, and finally it brings me a lot of happiness to say I could talk about the Heat on my channel. Yes, as you all know or don't, I am a Heat fan. I've been a Heat fan for basically all my life. And honestly, it's been pretty good. We're normally a pretty good team. We're well run. We're kind of corny with the Heat culture thing, but I ride or die by it because I love my team. But honestly, if we're being, sincere to ourselves, the Heat have been one of the best teams in the NBA. They've been, as I said, and as even their court says this, the best managed, the most prepared, the readiest, the whatever. And in my opinion, it is true what they're saying. The Heat are a great team and they're run by players and coaches, right, which know the game and really study what it is to be a fundamental player, to be good, to expand your game, and to play around the system. It is a tough team to play for. And honestly, that makes it so that a lot of people leave this team because they had the expectation of, oh, Miami's such a great city. But when they go there, they see that it's not so fun after all. You might be in Miami, but you're not going to the bars, you're not going to the clubs, you're not doing the Miami lifestyle that you would think. And this causes the Heat to be a unique franchise. Guys who are in Los Angeles, and who are in Houston, you'll see them and they'll normally be out, they'll normally have their name around the city for probably all the wrong reasons. But with the Heat, that doesn't happen, even though they probably have the most vicious city, pun intended, in the league. With this being said, the Heat have normally, as I said, attracted their players away from playing in their team. And that's not because they're a bad franchise, they're greatly run, but it takes a certain level of either necessity to play in the NBA, right, from a player who wouldn't be playing on a team regardless, or it takes a certain level of player who's used to the culture and can actually understands what it's like being there to really be able to play for the Heat. The Heat are tough. The Heat are not a walk in the park. They're not one of these franchises which are gonna let their superstars run people over and make their own rules and completely change what they've built. And they're backed by Pat Riley, which is obviously kind of the godfather of the NBA. Extremely powerful, the president of, I think, basketball relations. And he's basically just their guy who really instates, their culture and the way that they do things over in the Miami Heat. With that being said, the Heat, this makes them be routinely bad in the regular season. Because even though they care, even though they're so well conditioned, and even though everything, they don't have great superstars. They don't attract them. Superstars, especially the older ones, want to be treated like superstars. They want to get more leverage. They want to be able to chill sometimes. They want to be able to make their own schedule. They don't want the rigor of playing like they were 25 years old, practicing like they were 25 years old, and, carrying themselves in terms of basketball as if they were still young or still playing in the league, when they were at their 100% physical peak. And this has basically caused the Heat to be mediocre in the regular season. You see, in the playoffs, they've been amazing because they care and they practice it is for the playoffs. But in the regular season, the Heat have never really cared enough to be a threat. They'll win some games, and even at the 2 seasons ago, I'm pretty sure in 2022, they were the first seed because that season they actually, went for it, and they looked amazing that season. But really, the Heat are just based on, how they're looking at the moment. And this season, people thought, oh, they're failing this season, because when people saw the roster, when people saw what they were working with, people were like, so it's just the same thing as last year, which got an 8th seed, but you got a pretty good rookie and an old veteran guard in Josh Richardson, the young rookie being Jaime Jaquez Jr. So when they saw that, people said like, and even I as a Heat fan said, we're probably not making the playoffs this year. But it looks like they're proving me wrong. If you guys don't know, the Heat right now have won 7 straight games. They have 8 wins and they have 4 losses. And they are amazing. They are. And it bothers me to say that, that it really does, because even though these players, and this team is my team, like it really, like I've been preparing myself the entire time just to be ready for them to lose mentally. And now them doing this, I am so excited, but I am so freaked out that this is just a fluke that I don't want to get excited, and this has caused them to be one of the best teams in the NBA. They're third in the East. And really, it comes from just continuity being there. The Heat this season have been there in all levels that you could be. They're playing great team defense. They're relying on their stars greatly in terms of that their stars are performing. And if we're being honest, if we look at their starting lineup, they've made adjustments which they last year they couldn't make. Like Hayward Highsmith, a big wing, great on defense, can actually do something, is a smart player and can make some shots if you leave him open. He has now inserted himself basically into the starting lineup, with him being a real threat to do something. Duncan Robinson has finally found himself a groove. The big reason why he wasn't successful in previous seasons was because of the fact that he couldn't shoot and drive to the basket at the same time, right? Like, he was a great shooter. He would make it all the time. But it became so much of a problem that the defense would just suffocate him so that he couldn't get his shot off. And that caused him to always have an extremely contested shot because they knew that he couldn't handle the ball and that he couldn't go inside. Finally, the last person who really, put the team on their back have been the stars, Jimmy and Bam. And that has caused them to really be ahead of the pack right now. They beat Brooklyn, a team which is 6-6. They were 6-5 yesterday. 6 wins, by the way, 6 losses. And honestly, with them now extending their win streak this much, I just want to say that the Heat are doing great. Kyle Lowry looks like he finally settled into his role, of not wanting to do too much. Bam and Jimmy have been popping off recently, have really made themselves threats and superstars in their own right. The players around them, the Duncan Robinsons, the Jaime Jaquez, the Kevin Love, the Caleb Martins, have really been putting the work. And really, the team has just looked like they have so much continuity, and chemistry matters. This team is amazing, and they're winning. And honestly, we have to look at that and we have to be like, it's because they know how to play with each other and they know their system. Apart from this, we've seen other players and other teams do good. And I do want to say that, honestly, if we're being 1,000% honest and truthful to ourselves, the Heat are doing great right now. They are. We don't know how sustainable this is, but if they keep even going half of what they are right now, then they'll be one of the teams to look out for in this playoff run, because we know that the Heat are dangerous in the playoffs, especially and much emphasis on when Jimmy Butler does his thing. So let's see what happens with the Heat. I just wanted to give them a shout out. Yes, I did make them their own video. This was supposed to be the Brooklyn versus Miami video, but I got too excited, and honestly, if we're being 1,000% real with ourselves, I'm a Heat fan, so there is some bias that goes into it. I also want to say shout out to Tyler Herro. I did not talk about him because since I was gonna talk about the game, I didn't really, want to put emphasis on him. And but honestly, Tyler Hero is amazing, and he's been playing out of his mind this season. So I just wanted to say that he's out right now. So I hope he recovers quickly, so I can show him some more love with the great games that he's gonna have. But yeah, that was about what I wanted to say. Peace.